Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're re-diving into the rich world of Turkish folklore to uncover the story of one of its most beloved characters, Keloğlan, which literally means bald boy. Now, don't let the name fool you. He might be a simple village boy often portrayed as a bit reckless and living with his dear old mother, but underneath that bald head is a mind full of cleverness, a heart full of courage, and an unshakable spirit of adventure. The tales of Keloğlan are not just one single story, but a whole collection of adventures where our hero outsmarts giants, tricks greedy merchants, and even wins the heart of a princess. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's explore the charming and witty world of Keloğlan. Our story begins in a small, humble village where Keloğlan lives with his aging mother. They didn't have much, but they had each other. Keloğlan was known for being a bit of a daydreamer, often getting into trouble because of his impulsive nature. One day, his mother, worried about their empty pantry, sent him to the market to sell their only cow. She gave him strict instructions: do and come back without a good price for our beloved cow. Keloğlan promised he would and set off on the road. Along the way, he met a peculiar old man who saw the cow and offered to trade it for a magical stone. The man claimed this stone could grant any wish. Keloğlan, ever the adventurer, was immediately captivated. He forgot all about his mother's words and eagerly made the trade. When he returned home with nothing but a small, ordinary-looking stone, his mother was furious. "You foolish boy," she cried. "You traded our only cow for a worthless rock." In her anger, she snatched the stone from his hand and threw it out the window. Heartbroken and ashamed, Keloğlan went to bed without any supper. But the next morning, something incredible happened. Where the stone had landed, a gigantic beanstalk had grown, stretching high into the clouds, disappearing from sight. Keloğlan's eyes widened with wonder. This was no ordinary stone after all. Forgetting his hunger and his mother's anger, he decided he had to see where this magical beanstalk led. Adventure was calling, and Keloğlan was ready to answer. Without a second thought, Keloğlan began to climb. Up and up he went, through the clouds, until he reached a magnificent castle floating in the sky. Cautiously, he snuck inside. The castle belonged to a fearsome giant who had a hen that laid golden eggs. Keloğlan watched in amazement as the giant commanded the hen, "Lay," and a shiny golden egg appeared. He knew that with this hen, he and his mother would never be poor again. Waiting for the giant to fall asleep, Keloğlan tiptoed over, snatched the hen, and scrambled back down the beanstalk as fast as he could. His mother couldn't believe her eyes. The hen that laid golden eggs made them wealthy, and for a while, they lived in comfort. But Keloğlan's restless spirit couldn't be tamed for long. The comfort of his new life soon turned to boredom. Keloğlan yearned for another adventure. So, one day, he climbed the beanstalk again. This time, he discovered the giant owned a self-playing harp that produced the most beautiful music. Just like before, he waited for the giant to doze off, grabbed the magical harp, and made a run for it. But this time, as he fled, the harp began to play on its own, its enchanting music echoing through the castle. "Master, master, I'm being stolen," the harp cried out. The giant awoke with a roar and chased after Keloğlan. The ground shook with every one of the giant's thunderous steps. Keloğlan scrambled down the beanstalk, his heart pounding in his chest. As soon as his feet touched the ground, he yelled for his mother to bring him an axe. The giant was already halfway down the beanstalk, roaring with fury. With all his might, Keloğlan chopped at the base of the massive stalk. Creak, crack, crash. The beanstalk came tumbling down, and the giant fell with it, creating a crater in the earth, and was never seen again. The village was safe, and Keloğlan was hailed as a hero. With the hen that laid golden eggs and the magical self-playing harp, he and his mother lived a life of ease and happiness. But Keloğlan's adventures were far from over. This was just the beginning. In another famous tale, Keloğlan's cleverness is put to the ultimate test. The Sultan of the land had a beautiful daughter, but he declared that she would only marry the man who could make her laugh. Princes and nobles from all over the world came to try their luck, bringing jesters, telling jokes, and performing silly acts, but the princess remained stone-faced. Keloğlan heard of the challenge and, with his usual confidence, decided he would be the one to succeed. He didn't have fancy clothes or riches, but he had his wits. He went to the palace, but not to tell jokes. Instead, he brought with him a strange collection of items, including a goose. He stood before the princess and began to tell a wild, unbelievable story about his journey to the palace. He claimed his goose could talk and that it had guided him. He then pretended to have a full conversation with the goose, asking it for directions and scolding it for giving him bad advice. He'd put the goose on his head, make it whisper in his ear, and then argue with it loudly. The scene was so absurd and Keloğlan's performance so earnest and ridiculous that the princess, who had never even smiled, let out a small giggle. Encouraged, Keloğlan continued his antics, eventually having the entire court, including the princess, roaring with laughter. The Sultan, true to his word, was impressed by Keloğlan's wit rather than his wealth and agreed to the marriage. Keloğlan, the poor bald boy from a village, became a prince. But not all of Keloğlan's stories involve outsmarting giants or winning a princess's hand. Many are smaller, more intimate tales that teach valuable lessons about kindness, honesty, and quick thinking in everyday life. In one story, Keloğlan encounters 3 brothers arguing over their inheritance, which consisted of a blanket, a carpet, and a bowl. These were no ordinary items. The blanket could transport you anywhere you wished, the carpet would provide any food you desired, and the bowl would fill with water that could cure any illness. The brothers were about to fight over them when Keloğlan stepped in. "I can settle this," he said. "Let's have a race to that distant mountain. Whoever wins gets first pick." The brothers agreed and ran off. As soon as they were out of sight, Keloğlan sat on the blanket and wished to be at the mountain. He arrived instantly. Then he used the carpet to conjure a feast and the bowl to get a refreshing drink. When the exhausted brothers finally arrived, they found Keloğlan enjoying a grand meal. They realized they had been tricked. Keloğlan explained, "You were ready to fight over these gifts instead of sharing them. You don't deserve them." He then used the magical items to help the poor and sick in the kingdom, proving that true wealth lies in generosity, not possession. His actions showed that his cleverness was often paired with a strong moral compass. The character of Keloğlan is a cultural icon in Turkey. He represents the underdog, the common person who triumphs over the powerful and corrupt using not brute force, but intelligence and wit. His stories are told to children to teach them that you don't need to be rich or strong to succeed in life. Sometimes, a sharp mind and a good heart are your most powerful tools. He's a relatable hero because he's not perfect. He can be lazy, reckless, and impulsive, but his inherent goodness and clever problem-solving always shine through in the end. He embodies a spirit of resilience and optimism, showing that no matter how humble your beginnings, you can achieve great things. So, what can we take away from the timeless tales of Keloğlan? First, that intelligence is a great equalizer. Keloğlan constantly faces opponents who are bigger, stronger, and richer, but he always comes out on top because he thinks his way out of problems. Second, his stories celebrate kindness and condemn greed. He often uses his newfound fortune or magical items to help others. And finally, Keloğlan teaches us the importance of courage and taking a leap of faith. Whether it's climbing a giant beanstalk or facing a stern sultan, he never shies away from a challenge. He's a reminder that sometimes, the greatest adventures in life begin with a single, bold step. The tales of Keloğlan have been passed down through generations, adapted into cartoons, films, and plays, cementing his place in the heart of Turkish culture. He is more than just a folktale character. He is a symbol of hope and the power of the human spirit. I hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of Keloğlan, the clever bald boy. His adventures remind us that a little bit of wit and a whole lot of courage can take you anywhere. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into folklore and mythology from around the world. Let us know in the comments which folktale hero you'd like us to cover next. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring. See you in the next video.